Hi, Dave Jackley here with another edition of Exactly at Home north of Pittsburgh. And today I have the privilege of being at the Holsinger and Strategic Advisors companies with
Larry Caddy, Senior Manager in Audit.
Paul Stunkel, Director with our Small Business Services.
And Tom Cray, a partner of both companies.
So stay tuned because you're going to learn a lot about finance, tax, and accounting and practical tips for you when you need to get ready to go see an accountant. Stay tuned. So here I am with Tom Cray. Tom, tell me a little bit about Holsinger and Strategic Advisors and the scope of what you do.
Sure, thanks, Dave. So Holsinger and Strategic Advisors are sister companies. We're located here in Wexford, very easy to access right off of I-79. We're right in the heart of Wexford and a lot of activity here. Holsinger is a regional accounting firm. We're one of the 20 largest in the city. We have approximately 65 employees, and so that's something that we're really proud of, being able to provide employment for so many people in the community. Holsinger does accounting services that span all the way from payroll, bookkeeping, individual tax, all the way up to corporate tax, corporate audit, corporate tax, and all sorts of compliance things that come involved there. We do estate planning, bookkeeping, really anything that you might need from a accounting or tax or compliance perspective. We handle it. We do small companies. We have a separate group called Holsinger Business Solutions that handles small business clients, and you're going to hear from two of those individuals here in a little bit. And then we also have people that service larger organizations. We actually have clients on 6 of the 7 continents, which is unique for an organization our size. And so we have even exposure to international tax and accounting compliance as well. And then the other thing that's unique is our sister company, Strategic Advisors, handles higher level M&A transactional work. So corporate refinancing, debt restructuring, we'll handle sell side representation. So not any size company, but larger entities will actually help business owners sell their business. We'll help them value their business. We can even help people buy businesses. So that's a unique value proposition when you put both of those businesses together. We can really handle any family-owned business, anything that they may come across from a tax or corporate finance or audit or accounting, problem that they may come up face. We can help them out with that.
That's great. I mean, you cover all the bases with personal and corporate taxes, accounting, finance, and I have to tell you, I have to tell the audience that I've been a very happy customer for quite a number of years, both for personal taxes, S-corps, LLCs, holding company LLCs of other LLCs, and we've gotten it all done right here. So I thank you, Tom, for the introduction to Holsinger and Strategic Advisors, and I hope you found that valuable information. Hi, and now I'm here with Will Stunkel, and you are?
I'm a director here at Holsinger in the Holsinger Business Solutions, working with small business owners and individuals.
Terrific. Yeah, I think you're the guy that ultimately oversees my taxes, so you're an important man to me. So tell me, what's the busy period like? I know everybody talks about in accounting, when it's April 15th is looming on us. What's that like?
That's certainly one of the busier times. Pretty much right around the deadlines always seems to be the busiest of times, probably because everybody or most people seem to like to procrastinate. And so, getting us their information right before the deadline seems to be the kind of par for the course.
Yeah. Well, I know you offer some services to help your clients prepare for taxes and provide you with the necessary information. How does that work?
Well, probably the thing we like to use the most is a system that's called Tax Caddy. It's a third-party system that's a secure portal that allows our clients to upload information to us as well as communicate with us electronically. some of the big aspects of it is it allows us to, through the interface, show what information was provided in the prior years, and that information then can be used as kind of the starting point of what information needs to be gathered for the current year. And then, as typically is the case, the big changes from year to year are the things we need to know about, and hopefully through going through that process will help jog someone's memory of things that happened, whether that was taking retirement account withdrawals, transfers of accounts to other institutions, or refinance for a home, or even getting married or having kids can be one of those things that seems that if it happens too early in the prior year, when it comes time for taxes, some people just forget, oh, that was something that just happened. It wasn't a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I know you mentioned your clients need to report the proper number of kids if they had a child that year.
Yes,
that makes a big difference in the deductions. So, do you have any tips for people out there and clients as far as what we should be doing to keep records and prepare for when tax time rolls around?
When it comes to being prepared for taxes, the biggest thing is just having all the documents together. Typically, a lot of tax documents, if they're coming from a third party, whether it's a W-2 or a 1099 or something of that sort, they typically have on the envelope important tax information. And so making sure you have all of those together and you keep those organized so that you can easily get them to us is probably the biggest thing. The other big thing that usually causes a lot of pain and heartache is folks that are either self-employed or have a small business that don't keep an ongoing year-round bookkeeping record of that information. And so them putting together a summary for us is usually a pretty important thing to do. And so that can be as simple as just having everything together and then giving us a spreadsheet that summarizes it, or even just having it written down on a piece of paper that in scanning that in or taking a picture of it if they're providing us things electronically through Tax Caddy, to be able to for us to be able to take that information and prepare the tax return. But usually the big thing is more having that information together so that we can review it in a timely manner, so that we can then ask questions, because typically it's one of those situations where people don't know what they don't know, and being able to review the information with time to ask the right questions that we need to ask to ensure that something isn't missed or overlooked, or that usually the big thing is there's something new that could be taken advantage of from a tax perspective, and being able to plan for that within time to include on the tax return.
What should the average client know about tax strategies and record keeping?
Is that they always tend to hear things, whether that's these days from TikTok or YouTube or something of that nature, where they hear from someone's cousin's brother's uncle that, hey, this is something that's out there. And it's important to always take that with a grain of salt. There are certain things that you might hear about that are very beneficial. One of the big things recently that has we've seen a lot of benefit to clients is the employee retention credits, a special provision that was passed during the pandemic that allows business owners to receive a credit based on wages they already paid to their employees. And so we've been able to help clients file and claim those credits. They've gotten the money back and be able to document properly that they qualify for, as they can be pretty substantial, whether that's for some small businesses, substantial could be talking tens of thousands of dollars, and then other businesses that are larger, it could be millions of dollars if they qualify. And so helping them navigate, do you qualify or not, is important, because the IRS is focused on auditing certain things, and that's certainly something they're putting a focus on, or going to be putting a focus on, and that they've started recently from what we've heard about, and being able to ensure that someone didn't get a little, we'll say, into the gray area of things and think they qualify for something when they potentially didn't. Another thing with for a lot of clients that we see is that being aware of just where things are at in terms of when things happen for small business owners in particular, if they're having a really good year and it's partway through the year, it usually makes sense to set up a consultation for us to kind of look at things and say, okay, how different is this from last year? If they double the size of their business, it can be a pretty substantial swing. I just had a conversation this morning with a client who, his income so far this year is triple what his income was for all of last year.
Wow.
And so having a conversation of, last year he was confused because last year he didn't owe a lot of taxes. Well, it's because of different credits and that sort of thing that he qualified for last year that are different this year, as well as the fact that then his income is higher. And so being prepared to know, okay, yes, last year was a great year. He didn't owe a lot in taxes. This year, it's a little different story. And so then now that, he has plenty of time now between now and the end of the year to plan for that. And we've already, got a consultation scheduled to, have that further discussion of what's out there that he's doing or planning on doing that could potentially have tax consequences that would be beneficial at the end of the year, as well as making sure he doesn't make a bad decision of, hey, I'm going to pull out a bunch of money that I have sitting in my bank account and then realizing, I didn't pay my taxes yet. So
That's terrific. Well, first of all, it's nice to hear a good story about someone whose income is rising. I know a lot of people feel like they're on shaky ground with inflation and so forth right now. And I think you're hearing why you need a person like Will to walk through all these things like pandemic changes. And you're also hearing, be proactive. If things are changing, come in and have a consultation and figure out where you're headed. Well, Will, is there anything else people ought to know before we move on to the next topic?
I think the biggest thing is just, as you kind of mentioned, being proactive, but planning. A lot of people think when they hire a tax advisor, really what they're hiring is a tax preparer. They're hiring someone to fill out a form. And our value as accountants, as CPAs, is being able to plan and help them think about more than just a form. We're doing more than just filling out a form if that's a service they want. We can certainly fill out forms and get them filed. We can do that through our tax Caddy system electronically. We have clients that we don't even talk with because they just want to get their forms filed and sent in every year, and there's not much that they want else outside of that. And that's fine. But other folks who are maybe a small business owner or have a lot of changes going on, they want to be able to plan and talk with somebody and think outside the box, but within the lines, and that's what we try to do here.
So, and with the day-to-day record keeping, I'm sure a lot of small businesses need this advice. Do you have bookkeepers, or you work with bookkeepers that help them be organized for when they come to you?
Yes, for our small business clients, and even some of our larger clients, we have staff who either handle bookkeeping for those small business clients. We do part-time CFO services and controller services for our clients that might be larger, that need a little more weight behind them in terms of someone coming on, maybe either on-site or even remotely, to help keep their accounting in order and help them run their business. And we do provide those services and can do so, either for a short period of time or even for just ongoing. We have clients that have been using us for bookkeeping services for multiple years.
That's terrific. Well, I think you're hearing it's a soup to nuts service. I know from personal experience they help make it easy for me to give them what they need so I get my taxes done on time. So I appreciate the conversation, Will, and I hope you learned something out there. Hi, and now I'm here with Larry Dide. And Larry, you?
Senior manager in our audit and our Holsinger Business Solutions Group, or HBS as we like to abbreviate. That's our small business practice here in Holsinger.
Terrific. And so you really do accounting and so forth. And what should people know about the importance of accounting systems?
Yeah, so especially as Will alluded to, having good accounting is extremely important to be able to not only just get your taxes done, but to understand your business as a whole. Probably sounds a little nerdy, but accounting is really the language of how business operates. It's a number way of showing how business goes. And there's so many businesses that we run into that they neglect that piece, right? They check and make sure, okay, I have cash in the bank account. That's great that you have cash in the bank account, but do you understand where your numbers are flowing? Where are your costs going out the door? Do you have enough money going forward? You might have cash right now, but do you normally have cyclical cycles in your business where it could drop off in the third quarter, fourth quarter, or whatever? Do you have enough cash to actually make it through those times? What are your sales that you have in the door, the cash that's coming in the future? Do you have enough to sustain the operations? And a lot of times, if you don't have those accounting records in place and understand what they're doing, you're not going to be prepared for that, and it leaves you really exposed to shifts in the market and different shifts in the business itself.
Yeah, so like cash is the fuel of business, and you got to know where it is at. And
Exactly.
yeah, I used to work in manufacturing, and one of the things that we would counsel businesses on is how much they had tied up on the factory floor, and this the whole thing about just in time and the speed of moving stuff through. You can end up with a lot of cash sitting around your factory and not realize it.
That's absolutely right. And, and a lot of these companies too that, they come in because they're not understanding the financial records and where the dollars are flowing. They miss opportunities. They have cash tied up in inventory. They have cash tied up in antiquated systems or old equipment or whatever it might be, and they could be more productive. They could better utilize those funds. And especially the businesses that we work with, they can be pre-revenue startups. Cash is king for them. They need to know where their dollars are going because every dollar is vitally important. It could be, we work with a lot of, privately owned family companies. Well, if they're not generating that wealth, generating that cash, what are they going to hand down to the next generation? Or how's that company going to keep going? They don't have, multiple investors out there in the market that are able to pour money into it if there's a shortfall. It's their livelihood. A lot of these companies that we work with, the businesses are the people. It's the owners. That's their life. That's what they have. It's not just this business off in the space that someone's buying stock in. And so that's one of the most rewarding parts about the job is being able to help those people because you're helping a family or you're helping people that are trying to make a community better, things like that, as opposed to just helping investors or stockholders or something like that. So it also makes the job that much more important because we can help improve those conditions. We can help bring some light and bring efficiencies and effectiveness to the businesses.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think people don't think about this much, but you're talking about the interaction of cash and people as assets in a business, and I know that's a tremendous thing. But also the role of that business in the community and how businesses work together. I mean, there's suppliers and customers and all that kind of stuff, which is one of the reasons I'm talking to you because I like to focus on local companies and how we all fit together. So have you run into any very, let's say, challenging or interesting situations?
All the time.
All
the time. Yeah, I have. I actually have one. Surprisingly, I don't know how the company keeps chugging along, but I've seen companies where the owners haven't read financial statements in 40 years, and you can see where there's holes in there. Other ones where we've been able to help companies get through recapitalization and refinancing of the organization, so that way they can pass it on to the next generation. Every time we get into a new company, there's always some new situation that pops up, something unique and interesting, and there's always opportunity there to help a company grow and thrive.
So, I mean, two things we hear in the news right now: rising interest rates and inflation. How are those affecting small businesses in particular?
Well, it's making it tough. A lot of small businesses, they have a line of credit, has a variable interest rate attached to it. Rising interest rates means their cost goes up every time they utilize that, every time they use that line of credit. The other risk you have there is if they're trying to finance new equipment, or they're trying to go out and acquire another business or expand, and they're trying to take on debt to do that. Those interest rates are going up as well, and so it makes that incremental cost of doing business that much more. Plus, their labor costs are going up. That's a huge issue that we're running in. We're seeing with a lot of our clients is that it's difficult to bring people in and bring people in a cost-effective way, and so they have to pass that cost on to the consumers, or they eat the cost. And hopefully, we can help them see that that's not always the best the best route for the organization as a whole. But yeah, I mean, the rising interest rates and the inflationary pressures have definitely been difficult for a lot of companies, especially your smaller privately owned companies that we work with.
Yeah, well, and it affects me in the real estate business. I mean, I think interest rates are right near 6%. I've seen a forecast that will come down into the 4s next year, but businesses need to move ahead. They need to keep their clients. People need to move when they need to move, and it's a dynamic environment. Well, is there anything else you think people should know about what you do in accounting and how it affects your clients?
Yeah, I think overall, we as an organization, really strive to provide a cradle to grave system for I hate to say cradle to grave, cradle to exit. That's a little bit
Yeah,
easier
yeah,
to say,
right.
System
Cradle
for-
to sunset
Data
retirement.
There we go. Where we're able to bring in, whether it's from tax or from bookkeeping and HBS, even pre-revenue startups. I have one right now, and we've been able to provide everything from an initial tax return clear up to, we were providing CFO services for the last 2 years because they weren't large enough to go and hire one themselves, but they needed that kind of capacity. And so we're able to help them through a number of situations, but we're able to provide that clear up to, all of a sudden you're getting to the corporate taxes, you're doing heavy tax structuring, estate planning, clear out to using the strategic advisor to look at an exit strategy as well. And so we're able to facilitate that with our firm. And I think that's one of the things that makes us really unique is that, we can provide each individual service, but collectively we can provide a holistic solution for any of the companies that work with us. And I think that that's something that a lot of firms miss out on. A lot of companies could benefit from. When you pay for Holsinger, you're paying for the collective book. You're not just paying for bookkeeping or tax or audit or what have you. And so, I'd say any company that can find a situation like that that's more beneficial than just trying to parse off and piece off and find little pieces along the way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, back in the days of systems, the one strategy for a while was best of breed, and you had to try to Frankenstein everything together. And the fact that this is a one-stop shop for the whole scope of accounting and tax needs is really good.
Well, I like to think we're the best in breed at all of them, so that kind of helps too, right?
Well, that's why to come here.
At least that's the game plan.
Well, Larry, I'd like to thank you, Will, and Tom for spending the time with me today. And I hope you've learned that for both personal, small business, and tax needs, there's a place you can come to that covers you from day one to day infinity and all the needs in between, all under one roof. So thanks for spending the time today. And remember to tune in again for another edition of It Exactly at Home, north of Pittsburgh. We'll see you.
Thanks.